If you've been spending hours stuffing your resume with keywords, running it through ATS checkers, and doing everything that you can on the formatting to pass the bots, and you're still not getting interviews, I want you to stop for a second and hear this. Trying to beat the ATS is not a strategy. And for most mid-career professionals, it's one of the main reasons why their job search isn't working. Because here's what's happening. You're optimizing your resume for a system, but on the other side, there's a human that decides who they are going to interview. And when you focus on beating the ATS, you're trading impact for keywords. You're trading specificity for generic language that could come from anyone. And when a human looks at a resume like that, they feel nothing. I'm Danielle Bradley. I'm a career coach for mid-career professionals, and today I want to talk about this. What is really going on with the ATS, the applicant tracking systems, and why the strategies most people are using with that are working against them, and what it looks like to build a resume that gets read and gets interviews. Because the goal is never to get past a bot. It's to get a human to take notice, to contact you and bring you in for an interview. Let me start by addressing the belief that's driving a lot of the bad resume advice out there. The belief goes like this. Companies use an ATS to filter resumes before a human ever sees it. So if your resume doesn't have all the keywords that the job posting has, then it gets rejected automatically. But there's enough truth in this belief to make it convincing. Companies do use ATS systems. Keywords do matter, but the way most people use them is counterproductive. They'll run their resume over and over again through some of those online tools that help you beat the ATS. They add every keyword that shows up on the job description, whether they have that experience or not. They end up with a resume that is stuffed with keywords, but has no substance. And here's what I've seen working with hundreds of mid-career professionals. That approach doesn't work. Not because the ATS is not real, but because at the end of it all, a human will scan your resume really quickly and decide if there's enough substance here to bring you in for an interview. So when you focus on beating the ATS, you're optimizing for the wrong audience. So what happens when a hiring manager looks at your resume? Let's think about what happens on the other side of the ATS. The first scan, they're going to spend probably 6 to 15 seconds looking at your resume. In those seconds, they're not checking whether you've used the right keywords or not. They're asking themselves this question: does this person have what I'm looking for? And the answer to that question comes from whether your value and positioning are clear or not. In that quick scan, we need to demonstrate what you've done in terms of outcomes, results that are a fit for the role that you're applying for. And it's going to make the hiring manager work harder to try and figure out whether you have what it takes or not. And the reality is they don't have the time to do that, especially not these days. So they move on. Meanwhile, a resume that is built around impact and position for a specific type of role that you're targeting is going to answer all of their questions really quickly. And that's the resume that gets the call. So let me get even more specific with what I see with so many mid-career professionals' resumes these days. Many resume bullets that I see these days read more like job descriptions. And there's a big difference between listing what you were responsible for versus the specific outcomes you delivered that are relevant for the role that you're targeting. Responsible for managing a team of 15 across 3 regions, that tells me nothing about what happened because you were there. Led a team of 15 across 3 regions through a major systems migration, completing the rollout 2 months ahead of schedule with 0 unplanned downtime. Now that tells me everything. Hiring managers already know, for instance, what a director of operation does. They don't need to know the responsibilities. What they do need to know is what changed because of your work. What improved? What you built? What you fixed? What problems did you solve? If your resume is full of responsibilities and vague outcomes, it really doesn't matter how many keywords you've stuffed in it. The language is generic. This is one of the most common side effects of over-relying on AI tools and keyword optimization. The resume starts to sound like it could describe the experience of anyone. Hiring managers will scan hundreds of resumes, and the ones that stand out are the ones that feel specific, tangible, and real. When every resume bullet sounds like it came from a template, It makes you invisible, even if your experience is real and impressive. Another thing that I see is unclear positioning. Many of the mid-career professionals that I speak to are open to many different options in terms of their next role. And I get it. The market is uncertain and you don't want to close any doors. But a resume that tries to speak to everyone, in essence, ends up speaking to no one. When a hiring manager can't tell within the first few lines what it is that you're known for and what you're going after, they move on to someone who has a clearer story. Your resume needs to be built for a specific top priority target role, not 15 different ones. We want one primary direction with the experience that's related to that and the tangible results front and center. Now, let me be clear, keywords do matter, just not in the way that most people think. The right approach to keywords is not to stuff as many as possible of them in your resume. The right approach is to do research on your target role and understand the language that is being used and leverage those keywords in a natural way in your resume, combined with the tangible results. When you research several job descriptions that fit the type of role that you're looking for, you have a much better idea of what truly matters for that. And then you can make sure that your resume speaks to the results that you've delivered that are related to what they're looking for, using some of the keywords, some of the language that is coming across over and over in those job descriptions. That's not gaming the ATS. That's understanding what employers are looking for and making sure your resume clearly shows that you've delivered it. This is the approach that allows you to get through the ATS while having a resume that will appeal to humans. And this is what we do with our clients. Rather than working at stuffing keywords into their resume, we do the research first. We help them identify what is their top priority target role. What are the top skills, experiences, results that employers are looking for that type of role? We look at what they all have in common, what language they're using, what are the results they're looking for, and then we build a master resume built on that research. We end up with a well-positioned resume that has all the skills and outcomes that companies would be looking for those roles. We have a summary, we have skills, and we have key highlights that clearly position them as the person that can deliver the results that are important to them. Once the master resume is done, it takes 15 minutes at the most to make some selective updates to the master resume for different roles. We don't need to rewrite a resume from scratch for every single job. Do we include keywords in the master resume? Yes, of course, but because we've done the research, we know which keywords will come up the most for those types of roles, and we know the language that is being used most frequently as well. We don't have to work at beating the ATS in this scenario at all. Now let's talk about the formatting that is needed for an ATS-friendly resume. You don't need to strip down your resume to plain text to be able to have an ATS-friendly resume, but you do need to have simple formatting and a layout that will work for the ATS as well as be appealing to hiring officials. The goal is to have a resume that works for both of those audiences. One of our clients had been in tech for over 20 years. Senior level, really strong experience and background. After a layoff, he spent months trying to get interviews and really obsessing over making sure that his resume could get through the ATS, and honestly, it was not working at all. When we looked at his resume together, the problem was very clear to me. It was technically optimized, but it fell flat. Every bullet was a responsibility. There was almost no quantified impact. And because he had adjusted it so many times for so many different types of roles, it had no clear direction. So we rebuilt it from scratch. We got clear on his primary target role and we upgraded the entire resume. He stopped trying to beat the ATS and started using a resume that gave a human a reason to call him. 31 days after we completed his resume and his LinkedIn profile, he got an offer at 55 years old in tech. What should you do right now? I invite you to pull up your resume and look at it in the top fold before you scroll down to see page 2. Does your resume tell a hiring manager what you're best known for? Is it full of outcomes, or does it sound more like a job description? If the answer points more towards responsibilities versus results, this is where you start to do your upgrade. Ask yourself, what changed because of my work? What improved? What was the before and after impact of what I did? And then rewrite it around those answers. Beating the ATS was never the goal. Getting a human excited to bring you in for an interview is the goal. And when you build a resume around clear impact, clear positioning, and language that fits your target role, you don't need to game anything. You just need to make it impossible for the right hiring manager to scroll past you. Subscribe for more career advice for mid-career professionals. And if you'd like done-for-you assistance with your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and your job search, I invite you to book a Get Hired strategy call with us. The link is in the description below. And watch this video next. Do you rewrite your resume for every single job? Stop and do this instead. In this video, I cover in more details our master resume approach. See the link in the description as well. I'll see you in the next video.